Congresswoman Omar, you were just talking about how Trump's economy has failed the American people, but I think the American people really want to know how you went from a negative $65,000 before coming into Congress to over $30 million in just 7 years.
My disclosure is public now.
Breaking news, Ilhan Omar's husband's wine company has been legally dissolved. You are looking at the state of California certificate of cancellation for Est Crew.
The last time I spoke to you, you said that I was stupid for asking you about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain them? How did you make such a big mistake on it?
Absolutely, you're stupid for asking me anything.
I am?
Yeah.
Ilhan Omar just got a May 5th deadline from the state of Minnesota. She ghosted a fraud hearing. Her winery vanished 9 days after her disclosure flip, and now her own party leader stood on camera and said he didn't know anything about it. Of course. Let's get into it.
Is that a real winery, or?
Do you all actually look at and read things, or do you just ask silly questions?
Well, it's listed in the financial disclosure, so can you explain it? Because we have a lot of questions about it, and things just aren't adding up. There's no real phone number. There's no real location.
Why, did you want to bite some wine?
The last time I spoke to you, you said that I was stupid for asking you about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain them? How did you make such a big mistake on it?
Absolutely, you're stupid for asking me anything.
I am?
Yes.
Well, what about the American people who are wondering how you made such a big
I have
mistake?
explained to the American people.
What's the explanation?
I have given them the explanation.
Do you want to tell our viewers? Because they're
I don't want to
looking
tell you jack shit.
Oh.
How about that?
Okay.
Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
I don't want to tell you jack shit. That is from a sitting congresswoman to the reporter on camera, to her own public financial disclosure forms, documents that she legally required to file with Congress. This is not her personal diary. We're not diving into her personal life. This is public record. And that's the answer she gave. Now, I want you to hold that energy because everything that happened since that clip is why we're here today. This person filed a financial disclosure form showing assets between $6 million and $30 million, then had to file an amended version showing assets between $18,000 and $95,000. That is a $30 million swing. And it happened right after investigators started to ask questions. Her lawyer called it an accounting error. The Office of Correctional Ethics got a letter saying nothing illegal occurred. And she moved on like the receipts weren't already in the street. Something is going wrong here. Something is happening. Clearly there's some level of fraud going on, going all the way back to where she serves in Minnesota with all this Somali fraud going on. Omar was formally invited to testify before Minnesota's House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee. The committee investigating the Feeding Our Future fraud, the largest COVID fraud scheme in the entire country. $250 million was stolen from a program that was designed to feed children. She didn't show up. She didn't send a representative. She didn't even respond to a single email.
Minnesota lawmakers say Representative Ilhan Omar has ghosted them, that she did not respond to their invitation to show up for a hearing on fraud. She has not yet complied to turn over documents or communications that they have been asking for. State Representative Kristin Robbins, she's the chair of the Minnesota House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee, says Omar refused to testify before the Fraud Prevention Committee, ducked reporter questions, and she authored the bill that made it possible for this fraud to happen in the first place.
She created the conditions that allowed all these bad actors to come in and bill for thousands of meals a day, a week. I mean, it was incomprehensible numbers. One little tiny restaurant serving 5,000 meals a day, 7 days a week.
Now, we first reported on that restaurant last November, the Safari restaurant, where Omar was a fixture and held campaign parties.
And now there is a May 5th deadline. She has to hand over emails, texts, meeting records, her communications with Safari restaurant, her communications with Amy Bach. Remember, Amy Bach was the one running this whole scam. She has to send communications with every individual charged or implicated in this case. And she has to explain her role in passing the Meals Act. This was back in 2020. Legislation that she sponsored that loosened eligibility rules and, according to investigators, created the conditions for this fraud to explode. She wrote the bill. She promoted for Safari Restaurant on Somali language TV as a meal distribution site. She held campaign events at locations tied to the fraud, and now she won't pick up the phone for the committee investigating it.
None of the owners are here.
Tomorrow you will find.
Tomorrow? Ooh. You've only worked here for a couple of days? I'm back. Can I ask you just one question real quick though? Because Has there ever been a substance abuse clinic that operates out of here?
Clinic?
Yeah, like
Oh, no.
no clinic. But I just wanted you to know that Ilhan Omar was trying to send $1 million to this address. Yeah.
I don't have any.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't have any experience.
It doesn't sound like any clinic has ever operated out of there. Crossroad Health Services say that they were inside of Suite 6. They say they're excited to know they were awarded $4 million. It's a good time to mention that they say the visit from Senator Amy and Mayor Jacob Frey was more than a visit, it was an investment. Also, one time their address pulls up being out of Unit 100. How many nonprofits organizations have they operated that they had to put number 100?
As you see, someone went to the physical address where the health services operation claimed to operate, an organization that was supposed to reward $4 million in government funding that Omar tried to send $1 million to. That person at the address had never even heard of the clinic, ever, in that location. And the address games don't stop there. This organization showed up as Suite 6, then Unit 100, then Suite A. 3 different suite numbers, same fraud network, same government money, different doors to keep the trail cold and the fraud to continue to flourish. And this pattern of fraud is next directly to the larger web that we've been talking about, the Feeding Our Future nonprofit shell game, and the question that hasn't been answered. Where did all this money actually go to?
Her husband, a former political consultant, is involved in several businesses, including DC-based venture capital management firm Rose Lake Capital and a Santa Rosa, California winery. The winery listed assets worth between $1 million and $5 million in the 2024 disclosure, and as Rose Lake Capital touted assets worth $5 million to $25 million. Strikingly, Rose Lake Capital previously claimed on its website to manage some $60 billion in assets.
The firm claiming to manage $60 billion in assets was operating out of a WeWork mailbox. There was no office, no employees, no real business infrastructure, just a mailing address and a website making a bunch of crazy claims. Now stack that on to what we already know about the winery. Remember the winery that was listed in Omar's disclosure at $1 to $5 million in value has been legally dissolved.
Ilhan Omar's husband's wine company has been legally dissolved. You are looking at the state of California certificate of cancellation for Est Crew. That is the wine company owned in part by Tim Wynette, the Minnesota Congresswoman's spouse. Now, why would Wynette and his business partner dissolve their wine business, especially in light of this fact? The Wall Street Journal writing, quote, a 2025 email between Omar's husband and his accountant states that the venture capital management firm is valued at $7.9 million and the winery at $1.5 million.
A certificate of cancellation filed with the state of California 9 days after Omar flipped her amended disclosure and listed the winery at $0. The winery, by 2024, had $650 in the bank. The winery that sold a handful of bottles between 2020 and 2023. The winery that had a star product that was called The Devil's Lie. Can't make any of that up. Gone, dissolved, right when the investigators started pulling the threads on this nonsense.
And Omar now values his businesses between $18,000 and $95,000, a change that came after her finances came under investigation. But Tom Homan says, stay tuned.
The whole file is being reviewed. A lot of smart people are on it. Stay tuned.
That's the border czar right at the Turning Point event saying this whole file has been reviewed. In the same segment, the DOJ is increasing naturalizations efforts, which connects another sword hanging over her head, the one that Tom Emmer just put on the table publicly.
House GOP Whip Tom Emmer told reporters Tuesday, if Ilhan Omar is discovered to have been involved in any or to have benefited in any way from any fraud, she must be held accountable, he added. By the way, that includes marriage fraud.
So you see what's going on with her husband, the Rose Lake Capital money trail, the broader financial network. You understand why this line hits as hard as it does. We got a ghosted state hearing, a May 5th deadline, a dissolved winery, a $60 billion fake investment firm, federal investigators actively reviewing the file, and the House Majority Whip invoking marriage fraud on the record. So let's talk about her own party leader. What is he saying about all this?
Hi, Leader Jeffries. Good to see you. Just curious to get your thoughts on Ilhan Omar's financial disclosure. Does all of the scrutiny around that concern you at all, and does that warrant an official House ethics investigation?
That issue has not been brought to my attention, but we do know that Ilhan Omar, who works hard on behalf of the people that she represents in Minnesota, is constantly under attack by right-wing conspiracy theorists.
Well, what about her net worth going from 30 million to now under 100,000? Do you believe that's truly an accounting error, as she alluded to?
It's not an issue that I'm familiar with.
What about her winery that she is now dissolving from her financial disclosure?
We're working to stop this reckless war of choice in the Middle East, get the economy back on track, win this gerrymandering war that Donald Trump started that we're going to finish. It's not an issue that I've been locked in on up to date.
3 questions, 3 dodges. On the third, he just pivoted to the Middle East, even though they were talking about what's going on here. He was even asked about the dissolved winery. He started talking about foreign policy. Of course he is. This is the House Minority Leader, the second most powerful Democrat in the country, and he looked the reporter in the face on camera and said he was not locked in on his own colleague's $30 million accounting error. Either he generally doesn't know, which means his caucus has zero internal accountability, or he knows exactly what's going on and he wants no part of that smoke. You can decide which one is worse. But this is where we are right now. May 5th is the deadline, just days away from when I'm dropping this. Omar either hands over the documents or she doesn't. And if she doesn't, the House Oversight Committee can subpoena them. James Comer has already said publicly this is not going away. Tom Homan said that smart people are working on the file and the DOJ is active on naturalization. Tom Emmer put marriage fraud on the record. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of days. If she's doing this, I'll try to get my schedule together. Maybe we'll live stream this event on May 5th. We'll see, because a lot of these things take like hours and hours on end. So we'll see if that is actually going to happen. If it's going to be public, I'm assuming it will be. But let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.